Hi everyone, welcome to Homeschool Autism Life. My name is Jamie. If you are new, welcome, and thanks for coming. If you are not new, thanks for spending time with me again. So, I decided today's video is going to be a complete departure from what I usually do, mainly because we are all in kind of a state of new normal, trying to figure things out, and I am still in that place, and I thought it would get really monotonous if we kept talking about it. So instead of that, I thought I would share Darrion's birth story, which I haven't really shared here. If you're new, I am a mom of 3 children. My eldest is Darrion, and he's 12, and he is my autistic child who I usually homeschool. And now I am homeschooling my 2 daughters as well. And I'm still trying to figure out what that looks like. And so today I am going to tell you the joyful story of my son's birth. My husband and I, we were 26 and 28 when we got married, and we decided to spend the first year just us without adding babies or pregnancy hormones into the mix. And I'm so thankful that we did that. But when we did find out that we were expecting, we were super excited to bring our child into the world. And we spent a lot of time just trusting the doctors, listening to our doctors. I had had my doctor for quite some time. And so we just went through that process of when the doctor told us to come in and do all of that. I didn't really have a plan. I didn't really think things through as far as water births and natural birth and, having the baby on my chest right away and not cutting the cord and all of that kind of stuff. I didn't really have any knowledge of that kind of thing. My experience was you went to the doctor, and that was how that happened. And part of that was because my mom had all 4 of us by C-section. She did not dilate past 2 centimeters for 24 hours in labor. And so she had hip to hip scar from all 4 of us being born. And so I didn't really have any experience of other pregnancies, other ways of doing it. So because my mom and I are very similar, we respond to medications in ways the doctors don't anticipate. I'm built very much like her. I was considered high risk for a C-section before we had a reason for it. So in my mind, looking back, I kind of wish I had had more information, but I didn't. And so I know that we did the best that we could. As far as my pregnancy went, I was blessed to be one of those people who had a fairly easy pregnancy. And I'm gonna say a lot, I think, as I go through this. Sorry, excuse me. But in the process of being pregnant and stuff like that, I didn't gain a lot of weight. I only gained 22 pounds. And there's my girls. We had I carried swimming pools for my children. One of my husband's favorite stories is we were walking one day and he hears a sloshing noise, and then we stop. He's like, "Do you hear that?" And I'm like, "No, I don't." And we walk a little bit more. He's like, "That's you," as my tummy is making sloshing noises. Anyway, so I didn't really have a lot of poor pregnancy symptoms. I was very tired for sure, exhausted, in fact, and then my hair was falling out, and so I had to cut it really short. And then I really especially hated the smell of cooking meat, specifically hamburger. And so I remember spending a lot of time smelling the lotion on my hand, so that eating it was fine, but smelling, yeah, no, I could not handle that smell. So anyway, Darrion was head down the whole time. He spent a lot of time, kicking. I enjoyed the movement of my baby. I probably had the most trouble because I'm a tummy sleeper, or was, and that was next to impossible. So the other favorite Cullen, my husband's story, is that he found me kind of tripod against my knees and my arm, trying desperately to get comfortable on my tummy. I wish that they had there's like those inflatable beds that you can have this hole for your tummy, and yeah, that wasn't an option for me when I was pregnant. Uh, excuse me. So when I think it was my last appointment to do the checking up on Darrion, or the baby, we had discovered that he had pulled this spider move inside and was head up right under my rib cage and clung on, if you will. And there was a discussion about sending me to Calgary to have the baby turned. And given that I was already high risk and there was more risks to doing that, at least that was what I was told. And then the chances of it working were 50-50. And then the chance of him or the baby flipping again on the way home, even if it was successful, was very high. And so I kind of was like, well, there's no point. Let's just plan a C-section and just get this done. Um, the one thing that I was very, very aware of was my husband. We had had this experience. I had had some sort of viral cough. And the doctors had thought it was in my lungs, or the ER doctor thought it was in my lungs. And so he had given me nebula, like the puffers, and it made the cough 10 times worse because my lungs were fine. And it was in my throat. And so then the doctor gave me something in a nebulizer, and I had a really, really bad trip. And my husband, or my fiance at the time, got to see me kind of freak right out. And I pushed everyone away for 10 minutes. I was like, nobody was allowed to touch me. And I'm like freaking right out against the wall in the corner. And then 10 minutes later, I fell asleep, and the doctor just walked away, my doctor. And Colin went and chased him and was like, what was that? And so my my doctor actually told me that it was like the time, that was the moment he knew that Colin was good for me, was that he was chasing the doctor and was like having this like confrontation, like, tell me what had happened. So because of this, I was very, very aware that I needed, or thought I needed, to make sure that Colin knew I was okay. No matter what labor and delivery looked like, I needed to make sure that he was okay. And so I spent a lot of time, like, that was, it's so funny to me now looking back that that was like my main focus. No matter what other things happened to me in my space, I needed to make sure my husband knew that I was okay. So it worked out that we were able to do this in our small town because we had an anesthesiologist and a surgeon in our small town. And I'm so, 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 so thankful that that was my first experience giving birth, because I think if my third birth experience had been my first, I wouldn't have had more children. I've been very self-conscious at that point in time. I had had a bad experience, and nothing bad. Just at 14 years old, I was just very self-conscious, and then that has led into other things. My mom passed away when I was 16, and so I didn't have a lot of people to talk to about this. And so it was lots of different things built up to the point where I was just really uncomfortable with, normal daily things that you would talk to your doctor about or you would share. I was very self-conscious. And so with this small group of people, there's only 5 people in my delivery room. They allowed for things to happen. So once we had all decided that this was a planned C-section, they allowed me to have Colin shave me down there. I did not like the idea. Again, probably why I'm so thankful for this birth experience as opposed to full on labor and delivery. I did not want lots of people in that business. And I might have felt way different after 10 hours of labor or whatever, but it just, I was very like, no, 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 no. Like, you don't even need to be there. Even though they probably would have had to be there, but it's just that was how I was feeling. So they decided, with the help of my doctor, we had talked about how the surgery was going to go. And because he had been my doctor for a while and he was the anesthesiologist, he was also very aware of when I got my wisdom teeth and how I woke up from that. I woke up from that surgery, dental surgery, thrashing on the bed. And so he was very concerned about that and not wanting me to rip stitches and stuff after a serious abdominal surgery. And so it was decided that I would be put under for Darrion's delivery. And, you know, again, in hindsight, I really wish I could have been a part more aware of the surgery. He also gave me medicine to help me wake up slowly because, again, the thrashing, and he might have given me a little too much because it took 2 days to kind of get clear-headed again. So it was just, it's one of those things. Looking back, I wish that I had had things a little bit different or knew of different things, but I'm very thankful for the peaceful way that it went. So when it was time for the surgery, I was wheeled in, and literally I had one nurse. She took care of all of my needs, and she was somebody who actually took care of my mom when my mom was dying, weirdly enough. But she had such a beautiful, tender heart and was kind and caring to me. And then I was wheeled in. The 4 doctors were all standing there, and I was placed in without things being shown or whatever, and nice warm blankets, and I was nice and cozy, and the only thing sticking out was the belly. And that's when Colin was invited in. So I was put to sleep, and Colin tells the story because I don't remember any of this, of course, because I was put out. But he says the surgeon made his incision, and all Colin heard was splash all over the floor because the swimming pool was let free. And the doctor, the surgeon, goes, "Can I have something absorbent for my feet?" And I don't know, I'm weird because I was like, yeah, that's right, you did. Because I was like, you cut me open, you deserve whatever you get. So it was just kind of a funny story. But when everything was done, Darrion's surgery started at 8. He was born at 8:20 on Wednesday, the 23rd of April, 2008. And he was 7 pounds, 14 and a half ounces, and he was 21 inches long. Super healthy, everything was good. And Colin was actually carrying the baby, I believe, following me leaving the operating room. And I just have the briefest memory of being moved. That's all I really remember. But Colin tells me the doctor was trying to wake me up, and that's when he said, "Oh, I might have given her too much Demerol." And as I'm just kind of waking up, my first words to Colin were, "I'm okay, everything's okay. Colin, I'm okay." And Colin is like trying to get a word in edgewise, telling me, "Jamie, you had a son. You had a son." And I'm just like nonstop, "Colin, I'm okay. I'm okay." Like, I don't know what I'm talking about. I have no idea. But I'm slightly awake, so therefore the first thing that I do is, "I'm okay, I'm okay." Anyway, the next few days are a complete and total blur for me, mainly because I think the drugs took a while to kind of metabolize and get out of my system. We thought we had the best sleeping baby newborn ever because he slept most of those 2 days, and there's a reason. So we are so thankful for the birth of our son, so thankful for how it started. It kind of gave me like baby steps into what my third child's birth was going to be. And you know, it hasn't been until way later that I have been watching other birth stories and realizing that there's a different way and a more natural way. And I kind of wish that I'd be able to go back and do that. But at the same time, I look at who I was back then and go, I had no clue whatsoever. I was more focused on making sure my husband was fine than anything that I was going to go through or the baby. I was very focused on if I'm okay and the baby's okay, we're all good. And we were. And so I am thankful for the things that happened, the doctors and the nurse that I had. I am so thankful for. And yeah, I just wanted to share that joy, that distraction from everything else out there. And I hope that you enjoyed that story. And thank you so much for spending time with me. If you're interested in hearing the birth stories of my girls, let me know down below. And yeah, we will chat next week. Thanks for watching, guys. Take care.